Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Matt, this is Luke, and we're at Gumbuya World today. Gumbuya World have invited us into the park to check out the behind the scenes of Project Zero.
And the first thing we're going to do today is we've been invited to climb the tower, which is behind us here, all the way up to get some great views of the Tynong North area in Melbourne, Australia. So this green track behind us, that's the Project Zero track. The tower behind us, that's the tower for Project Zero. We're about to climb it. Matthew, what do you think?
I got some questions for you, Luke.
Oh, you got questions?
What is Project Zero?
It's a Maurer XT150 Skyloop model. But we know that this ride was originally built at Dream World Australia up on the Gold Coast until approximately 2 years ago. In 2022, it was taken down, driven down to Victoria and reassembled behind us here. Gumbuya World has been very gracious to offer us a behind the scenes tour of the ride, take us up on the tower, look underneath the train, go into the maintenance area and get a really good behind the scenes look of how everything here works and is maintained. So come along and hope you enjoy it. Hey Matt.
Yeah, what's up?
Didn't realize it's actually not stairs.
No.
It's a ladder. It's ladders all the way up.
It's like 10 ladders.
God damn. A bit more exercise than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. We're climbing.
Tower?
This is going to be interesting. Oh boy. There's going to be some great footage. Oh, hey Luke.
Look at the view.
Oh, it's not, it's definitely not an easy, climb.
I think we're halfway up now. What do you reckon, Luke? He's not even listening to me anymore. She's gonna go up today.
I won't do it. I would never do it. I know.
God, you've blown the town.
Wowee. Luke.
It's amazing. It's a thing.
I'm just gonna stay up here.
So during construction, we had booms that would they would clear the roof of this by about another 10, 15, 20 feet. So again, every morning, it really drove the fear of heights out of you. You didn't have a choice, you just had to do it.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely beautiful up here.
No, it is. Was this proper, like, was it repainted over the top of the old paint? Or
Yeah.
was it stripped down and repainted?
So it was completely stripped down. So every single piece was sent to a sandblaster, and they were completely stripped and redone whilst they were being stripped. They also had every single weld on all the tracks, every single weld in and amongst the entire tower. Everything was weld checked.
Because these came together real quick.
Well, that's the thing though, is when we were doing it, we were pulling, averaging about 17, 18 hour days, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So everybody was putting in big efforts on it. We'll go even towards the tail end of it, we were doing split shifts. So we had blokes in from 3 a.m. in the morning. They'd finish after their 8 hours, but other guys would come in just as they were hitting their 6 hours.
Was it worth the climb?
Oh yeah.
I'm never climbing this again.
It's beautiful. Like I was saying, we climb this every morning.
Yeah.
We have to. It's part of our check. So we have to climb even up the top where the spine ladder is there. But we have to go up in there and harness in. We also have to stand up on the top as well. So that layer there's also another piece up the top as well.
Yeah.
So we have to stand up there. Everything has to be inspected daily.
What are you looking for mostly?
We're looking for moved bolts. So if you have a look at some of the bolts around here, you'll see on the bottom end where the nuts are, you'll see a white line.
Yeah.
So we're looking for any movement in that, any missing bolts, anything that it looks like it's cracking or deformed or just basically wrong.
Yeah.
If we see anything wrong, she gets shut down.
Yep.
and it gets shut down until it's completely fixed.
It's really reassuring that you guys are taking.
Oh man, I'm the
all of that
worst
effort.
for it
Yeah.
because
It's
I
great.
treat it as if it's mine and not as if it's just the companies that I work for. This is mine. So if I don't like it, if I'm not happy with it, I've had the boys call me while I'm at home on my days off and they say, hey, this is it, shut it down. Anybody asks a question, just say Dalton told me.
Yep.
So that's my stance on it, and especially because of the size and the severity of it as well. You can't take shortcuts on it. It doesn't matter, but it says that for everything though. It's not just Project, whether it's Project or Berry 12. It's the same stance you have put on it because I wouldn't put my kids on something that I'm not safe with.
No, exactly.
The things we've learned today on the top of this glorious tower. We're about to start the descent down. See you, Luke.
See ya. Oh, gee, this is going to be interesting.
This is tough.
This is a part of our daily checks, right? Obviously, this is what holds everything into the chain, drives it all around. Basically, give him a bit of a clean up. You can see where its normal running surfaces are. We always do like to keep it nice and lubricated because we want it to be able to come out when it wants to come out. Springs are a big part. That's what helps everything pull itself back up and in. Counterweight is your main part though. So we always double check, triple check our counterweights, making sure that our dog, this is what we call the dog, has all of its right bolts, all the markings and everything are coming down to their right size. And the measurements that we're supposed to be taking is distances from here to here to ensure that our stick out will be more than enough to engage into the chain. But yeah, that's pretty much the brains of the situation. We have to keep this room to a temperature of 18 degrees at all times. If you don't, everything overheats. So funnily enough, out of this entire area, that is the most crucial part of the system, is the air conditioner. This is all of our show controllers, that just does all the lighting, all the theming and stuff for us. This is our one section of our spare parts. So this is our more often used pieces than anything else. A lot more of our consumables, a whole bunch of pneumatic, electrical, brakes, hardware.
And this, is it similar to like the other parks where you send it off to get
retread?
Yeah.
Funnily enough, retreading is actually more expensive than what it is to
buy a new one?
To buy new ones. So the other issue that I find as well that I don't like about retreading is when the bearings are pressed in and out, the diameter that the bearings get pressed into, if you're not careful while you're doing it, you can actually score and mark and disfigure basically that diameter that they're held in with.
Yeah.
Do that often enough and your bearings actually won't see properly.
Yep.
So I personally like to get rid of them. They're a consumable item realistically because they're made out of the aluminium material on the inside of the wheel. I don't think that you should reuse them personally. That's my opinion though.
Yeah.
In here, it's not really too much to look at, but you get to look underneath the train.
What's your background? Because is this the first roller coaster you've rebuilt, would you say?
Yeah, definitely the first roller coaster. So my background is aerospace machining. I used to be an aerospace machinist.
So, like a fitter and turner
Fitter and turner
background,
trade. Yeah, but more of a CNC machinist. I was a CNC machinist for about 11 years, and I've always sort of dabbled in pulling things apart and putting them back together and doing the fitting side of things. I got a good chance to do it at the last company that I was working at as a machinist, where I was on-site maintenance. So pretty much they call me out, and I'd go out into quarries, do a lot of the maintenance works out of quarries. I'd go to abattoirs in Pakenham. I'd go to tomato farms in out of Traff sort of way, and yeah, pretty much just get to work with my hands. And then that's where I got away from machining and went into fitting.
Yeah. So basically, this is a machine. And you've been working on machines in the past.
Yeah, correct.
This is
just a
different
very big
type of machine. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
With people on board.
Yeah, whether it be a tractor or whether it be a boning line for an abattoir or anything like that, it's still the basic mechanical understanding that you need to have.
There's nothing sort of mechanically that's crazy out of this world new technology. It's
honestly
all quite simple.
Very simple and very sturdy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, to tell you the truth, man, you can think about it like a bike chain. The way that it works, it's just a bike chain, and instead of moving the wheels, it's just moving a car around the chain. And then it free falls, and obviously up in the brakes, you got a little bit more going on up there because that's obviously all pneumatic and the way that they actuate and the way that they work.
That system up there is very interesting.
The way that the brakes actuate is you've got the two arms that come in and they catch the center of the car.
The brakes?
Yeah, the brakes. Yep. So the way that they actuate is they actuate down and in. So they sit normal and then they actuate down and in.
Okay.
And then because they're relying and they're sitting there solid down and in, which is the exact reason as to why the train, even though it's not connected to the chain, why it won't slip through the brakes. Because it's got all of its gravity there holding it.
It's sort of like you've got the electrical system holding it in place.
No electric, it's all pneumatic.
Pneumatic,
Yep.
and then pneumatic release down.
No, pneumatic release up. Because why when you watch it, see how it goes up and then comes back down.
So
the reason it goes up is because the way that the arms are actually being held is they actuate down, the train comes through, and then it sinks back down. It can't dragging the system into itself.
Yeah.
That's why when it goes to release, the crank comes in, engages the dog into the chain, and the machine the carriage rolls up, and the up movement is what disengages the brakes.
Well, that's something.
Yeah.
Isn't it anomaly? Like why it has to go up?
Yeah.
It's to move the brakes into
to release the brakes, because if you don't, the brakes are just being held down by gravity.
If you went down straight away, it would just like smash the.
Oh, you wouldn't. Yeah, it would tear the dog out of the chain. It would destroy the chains. Everything. A lot of things would go wrong because it's obviously not how the system is supposed to work.
Yeah.
There's no slippage or nothing allowable for it. So again, if we watch it when it goes in, gets caught in the brakes, it comes up and comes back down. It has like that's where you get that slight shudder feel when you get caught in the brakes. That's it, just coming down and resting hard on the brake pins. And then while you go up, it automatically releases there, or you'll hear the come through from the pneumatics. Everything releases, brakes go away, it clears a few sensors, says yes, I'm back in the right position, brings you back down.
Very cool.
So the wheels, so you have your road wheel, your side wheel, your upstrop wheel, they all have tolerances and distances, and they're acceptable and they're not acceptable to be. When we start in the morning when we do our pre-starts, we reset every wheel back to its minimum tolerance. Over the course of the day, wheel wear, how hot it's going to get, you're obviously going to get a bit of deformity inside of a rubber wheel, which is absolutely necessary, and it's what you should expect. It will get that little bit more minuscule as the day goes on.
So he's talking about sort of like the distance between the wheel and the track.
Yeah, correct.
There'll be, and that's why you sort of get that.
That's exactly
hunting.
why you do get a little bit of a hunting, trying to find the center of the track. And again, it is also with the profile of the track too. Like it's the way that, so you can watch it as it comes through the end of the twist, comes through, and by the time the front train is on the straight part of the track, the rear train is still at a twist. When the rear train comes through, finds itself, it's obviously going to transfer that momentum and transfer that energy into the front of the train.
Yes. Hydraulic.
Harnesses are hydraulic, yes, hydraulic and electric. So they're a dual locking system where the first part obviously is the electric. It sends a shaft into a toothed cam, and it's held mechanically like that. So mechanic/electric. And then the other part is hydraulic, and that's obviously inside the arm, underneath, and then that's your secondary lock there. So
as you pull it out, like the piston moves.
Yep. So I'm not sure. Yeah, correct. The piston obviously rotates itself, but I'm not sure if you'd noticed when it goes down, you hear that clicking sound. Yep. So that's actually the clicking sound of the rod going into the clicking that you will hear when you close the lap bars will be the mechanical lock. And then the secondary locking system, which when you feel it not being able to move up, that's your hydraulic part. There were some challenges, but honestly speaking, everything went back together relatively nicely. There were 0 modifications that needed to be made. Everything was done correctly. So honestly, without saying it was an easy job or anything like that, it was relatively okay to go back together. It was, as long as we followed drawings and the plans and everything else, absolutely. But the hardest part was obviously figuring out what parts went where, because after the age of the machine and everything like that, and it obviously being stripped down when it got repainted, so sandblasting, so a lot of the original part numbers were removed during sandblasting.
Okay.
So that was the hardest part, where we had to go back to individual drawings, measure everything, just to make sure that that was the correct piece. So that was the hardest part, where when we got everything back, as we utilised out the back there, and we had sections in here, sections there, sections here, sections there, and it was like, that was probably the most meticulous part about it, but it was also kind of fun. But yeah, it gave us that intimate knowledge of the ride when we were putting it back together.
How was it dealing with Maurer on this? Were they
were great.
They helped you through the process?
They came to the party, man.
Yeah.
Maurer was great with us, especially, and even now as well. Like once we've obviously been operating the ride too, like they were absolutely great.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't. Well, me personally, I didn't have any issues with them at all. I thought they were really good.
Because it is an older model. Well, it's a discontinued model.
Correct.
They don't sell this anymore, so it's. I think they were very interested in this project.
Yeah.
To see it sort of be revitalized, because I know a lot of things have changed. Sort of more of the a lot of the sensor components and that all replaced.
If it was electrical, everything got swapped out for brand new.
Okay.
Which was really good. We had an electrician crew from Queensland that do a lot of work with sort of like theme parks and rides and roller coasters and everything like that. Oh, they're awesome blokes. They came through and they replaced everything for us. They were great. They were working alongside everybody as well. Even saying that yes, it is a discontinued ride. Spare parts and everything, Maurer's been great. So they've been coming. Correct,
they
yeah,
still
absolutely.
Offer that service.
Yeah, they've been coming to us and saying, "Hey, we've got this, we've got that. Do you need this? Do you need that?" So they're constantly chasing us down, and to tell you the truth, yeah, they're just great to deal with.
Okay.
They're
Very
really good
cool.
to deal
Very
with.
cool.
Project Zero, the old girl is the beat. Hey, like she's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I try to say that as serious as possible.
Yeah.
But,
Like, why?
I think it's just because I built it. Like that's definitely it. Like it's because of how involved I was within the construction process of it and putting it together, and the fact that we'd get in very early in the morning. I'd spend the first half of my day up here on site doing all of the a lot of the rigging components and a lot of the smaller in-depth details. And then for the last half of my day, I'd get down to the workshop and I'd spend the rest of the day. And I had both cars completely stripped down to bare frame in pieces and replaced every bolt, every connection, everything like that, and put it all back on it and rebuilt it as we were going. Which was like, I don't know, that's kind of like my claim to fame, to tell you the truth. It's what I love about it. The fact that I know everything. Well, sorry, so far I'm one of the most knowledgeable people in the park of the ride. I definitely don't know everything.
How does... So the dog engages in the station.
Yep.
Takes it up.
Yep.
Releases it through gravity.
Yep.
But then when it passes through the chain again, it doesn't hit along the way.
Yeah, it doesn't go ting 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 ting.
Yeah, so how does... What's happening there with the dog? Is that... the dog's inside the train?
Yeah, the dog's up in the back end of the rear car. So the rear car is actually the driver, the front car's the follower. The the dog works inside the chain it has a counterweight at the back of it. So the hook goes into the chain. Up the front end of it, that's a counterweight. That counterweight obviously reacts to the weight of everything else. It's heavier than what the hook will be. And it's a specific weight to make sure that when it does come through, it stays down. It can't come out. It's also being assisted by springs too. It has 2 springs on one side that keep its tension up there as well.
So instead of being in this position, it's like that as it comes through the station.
Correct, yeah, absolutely, yeah. It sits clear of the bottom of the train. Does that make
really
sense?
Works, right.
Correct, she's up in there, yeah, she's absolutely up. So, again, every morning that is another critical inspection that we do is that dog.
Yep.
So
actually, one more thing about the dog is, so it's up all the way through, and then it hits the brake run on the vertical.
Yep.
Is there then something that pushes
the dog out?
The dog back into the chain.
Yep. So if you look in the middle of the brake section there, you'll see that big stainless silk big thick plate pretty much that runs along the chain guide. That's what we call the crank-it brakes. We have a very similar setup down here, except it's just obviously not that long in the station. So that actuates up, which hits onto the back of the counterweight on the dog, which forces the dog into the chain.
Okay. And then that just locks in and that's it.
Correct. That's why when the chain starts to move, you'll hear that secondary lock-in, where it actually falls in and grabs a hold of the chain. And then, obviously, once it's done that, it's cleared the sensors that it needs to clear. The crank then goes away. The dog is obviously fully engaged into the chain, and then it comes back down.
And all that's monitored by sensors.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
As it goes in, that's all monitored. It's like, yes, we're all in, we're clear, and then release that plate, and then brakes and everything.
Yep, yeah, it's all monitored by sensors that we have up in the brake system, yeah.
Okay, so overspeed.
Before we talk about an overspeed, let me quickly just explain to you what an overspeed is. A typical cycle for Project Zero or any Skyloop will see the train travel up the main tower lift hill before taking riders through a heartline roll and going down the ride's only drop on the second tower. It then passes through the station up the main tower before free falling backwards again through the station, going up the second tower partially into the heartline roll. Finally, it'll pass the station for a third time before being caught on the brake section located halfway up the main tower. However, during an overspeed, the ride will be travelling at too high of a speed through its third pass through the station. Due to this high speed of travel, the brakes will all open, letting the train free fall again. This lets it have an additional swing before it gets caught on the next travel up the main tower.
Yes.
That happens during the first year quite a lot. I got a couple of rides on that. I think Matthew and I did as well. I think the best thing about this ride is the weightlessness you get on the
free fall coming down.
Yeah. So you get that twice. So is that? I think it's because it's gone too fast on the first swing. Sorry, for the swing to catch.
The first travel through the station is calculated. I'll show you where with the speed sensor. Just here on the track, we have 2 speed sensors that are magnetically operated. So, on both sides. So on the front and rear car, on the very front wheel housing, there are a series of magnets that actually trigger that and tell you how fast you're going. So a certain distance over a certain amount of milliseconds, those sensors are allowed to be triggered twice. So we got people in and we obviously got it all recalculated, got everything back up to our acceptable pace. And if we've got that, we actually experience quite a number of overspeeds on certain days, on the perfect day. So hot days like today, the track is obviously warmer, the wheels are going to be warmer, bearings are going to be all warmer as well. Everything's going to want to run a lot quicker. It's just a matter of the sun. That's all. There's not much you can do about it. So we've actually had to fine tune it to allow it to come through at a certain speed and say yes, that's acceptable for everybody and everything like that.
And then before you did that, it was saying it's basically we're going too fast, so we need to burn off speed, and that's why it allows for that next swing.
Absolutely. So that's the whole reason of the secondary swing. So if you watch when it goes through the first time, and when it started the ride, comes up, goes around, does this little thing, comes back down, you'll actually watch all 3 sets of brakes actuate. So you have bottom brake, middle brake, top section of brakes. Can you see that?
Yep,
So,
the 3 parts.
Yep, 3 parts. So when it comes back through, as it comes through this part of the station, if it's going too slow, if it's going too fast, it's going to go into itself at too quick, and that's where damage occurs.
Okay.
So if it's going at an acceptable pace, it will open the bottom set of brakes, and then it'll only be caught by the top and the middle brake.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And then if it isn't, it's going too fast, all 3 sets of brakes will open. You'll go up, you'll come back through on your secondary lap through, and then this is what we call the overspeed. And then when it comes back through, it will then be caught on the bottom and middle section of brakes, because obviously it won't have enough speed or momentum to make itself up to the top.
Thanks for watching that Q&A and the walkthrough and the pre-starts and the tower climb. I hope you enjoyed all of it. If there's anything more that you'd like to see us do in the future, let us know.
Yes, please.
This was meant to be the end, but luckily enough, whilst we're here, the ride was going into overspeed, and that's a cycle that Dalton explained a little bit, but we got the opportunity to ride it and also film an off-ride. We're going to show you that next so that you can see exactly what is the overspeed.
We had a great time filming this. We want to say a big thank you to Gumbuya World, Dalton, and the marketing team at Gumbuya World. They've been fantastic letting us come in and film behind the scenes. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time.
Like and subscribe.
You was dancing very well. Doing
Do
the
you want to go
robot.
ride Project Zero?
Let's Project Zero. Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Matthew, they're laughing at us.